All right, let's preview the game tonight with our guys from Pushing the Pile, Kyle Long and Mike Renner. Good to see you both here. All right, so as we talk about this game, the Falcons and the Eagles coming up tonight, this Falcons team, they've got to have some hope because of the fact the Eagles are without A.J. Brown for this game tonight. So how does this Philadelphia offense adjust not having Brown in their lineup?
Well, look, at the end of the day, you got to establish dominance at the line of scrimmage. And both these football teams are looking to go out there and do that in tonight's game. They want to control the narrative of this football game. That's running the football. And with Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, Lane Johnson, we know all the guys on the left side of the football. They're going to have success running the ball. Without A.J. Brown, the defense will know that it's coming. So it's a question of, can you stop it or can you not stop it? We're going to line up. We're going to throw 700 pounds of double team at you. You can either sit on it or you can't. And you know what's coming out of that hole right behind that double team? It's Saquon Barkley, a dude that looked as good as ever last time we saw him out there for the Eagles. So it's going to be more of the same, I think, for Philly.
It does give the Falcons hope, though, because A.J. Brown's one of the most difficult matchups in the NFL, and specifically against their top cornerback, A.J. Terrell. He struggles against those bigger physical wide receivers. And so now with him out, you have two skinny guys in Jahan Dotson, Devontae Smith, two sub 185-pound wide receivers. Now this is why they traded for Jahan Dotson as kind of this insurance plan. If there is an injury, he can still get open on his own. But I do think the explosive plays that you saw in that Week 1 game against the Green Bay Packers, they'll struggle to generate those. So as you mentioned, probably going to be a run-first game plan for the Eagles.
All right, so we have some questions on offense, of course, without A.J. Brown. But when it comes to the defense in this Eagles team, you know there are some issues as well. This was a defense bottom 7 in the league last year, allowed 400 yards on that ugly field in Brazil. But how do they respond against the Falcons, Kyle?
I thought the field was pretty. It just didn't play very well. And just like that defensive front, I'm going to challenge that defensive front. You know, guys like Jalen Carter, guys like Jordan Davis, they've been brought in to meet a certain brand of football and an expectation of their defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. We have to control the line of scrimmage. And for guys like Jordan Davis, you're bigger, faster, stronger than the guys you're going to be playing against at guard. You have to make a decision, play in, play out, that you're going to be the guy. And your first play of a series has to match your effort on the 8th play, the 9th play. Sometimes you stretch in to a dozen plays. We need Jordan Davis to be playing big and bad up front.
If I'm an Eagles fan looking at that Week 1 tape for takeaways, has my defense improved now under Vic Fangio? I'm throwing out the tape. Guys were slipping and sliding all over the place. There was really nothing to be gleaned from that. I think this is the week where we really see. Now, obviously, you have an injured Kirk Cousins, but I think it's the line of scrimmage. Can they control it against an offensive line that was really overmatched in Week 1? I think they can, and I think you see this Eagles defense shine under Vic Fangio.
But to that point, though, with the fact that the Falcons, you know, the Eagles, were so bad against the pass last year, that has to give the Falcons a little bit of hope, especially with Kirk Cousins, who they brought in, paying him a ton of money. The team says, look, there's no restrictions in terms of coming off the Achilles injury. They said, you know, all that talk all this week about the fact that, hey, maybe he's not 100%. They're saying he's rusty. So when you look at Cousins, is the problem, Mike, do you think, with Cousins between the years more than it is physical?
I think it's twofold. I do think he's definitely not moving the way he once did. You know, he still is showing some ill effects from it. They obviously didn't trust him to even run play action last week. They were running pistol when that's something that really he never did in Minnesota. So they were accommodating to his physical limitations. And then Kirk Cousins has always been a guy who has been afraid of contact. That's been kind of his MO, is that you can rattle him with pressure. And so if he's worried about that Achilles and he's afraid of pressure consistently, that's how you get kind of the quicksand we saw him in last weekend.
Yeah, and what do we know? We talked about this at length last week. This offensive line for Atlanta Falcons, they are built to run the football. They've got a bunch of guys who are glass eaters up front. Well, sometimes they don't do the sexy stuff very well, and that's the pass protection. In my opinion, that's where your real money's made as an offensive lineman. Last week, they were asked to drop back a number of times, more than they probably would have liked. If they can control the line of scrimmage early and often, they can get to those play action passes with Kirk Cousins. But until then, that offense will look disjointed.
Now let's talk about the quarterback on the other side, because last week for the Falcons, they're facing a dual threat quarterback in Justin Fields, who looked fantastic against them for Justin Fields standards. And then now they're getting Jalen Hurts and a dual threat quarterback. Mike, how do they deal with him? What are their answers for Jalen Hurts?
They don't have many besides maybe pack the box. And that's why I think the A.J. Brown injury is big, because then they may not beat you over the top as much. But truthfully, they're just overmatched in that front seven. And when you have the quarterback who can run and they can really continue to use him as an option there, it only forces you to put more numbers in the box. And so you see there, Jalen Hurts, just his ability to, whether it's the tush push, whether it's the option plays, the ability to make the defense have to add that next level defender, bring that safety down into the box, it just really has to alter your game plan. And so, yeah, from the Falcons' perspective, I think they have some matchups they have to account for up front that don't go their way.
And if they haven't accounted for all of them, the thing that I love about Jalen Hurts we saw last week is he picked and chose when he was going to extend plays with his runs, and he's going to pick and choose when he can break the backs of the defenses. That is a really hard thing to manage as a defensive front. When you're worried about the quarterback throwing the football, you're trying to get home, then the next thing you know, he slips out. He might knock out one of your linebackers. Jalen Hurts is a threat at all times.
All right, so looking at this game tonight, it was up to 6.5 for Philadelphia as a favorite. It's now been bet down to 5.5. The total's also dropped from 46.5 to 45.5. So give us a pick for your game tonight.
I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. With no A.J. Brown, I'm going to go with the under. I think they run it. That clock runs quick tonight.
I have both. I have the exact same picks. I do think that with Jalen Hurts, he's going to tire out this front seven of the Atlanta Falcons. They're not super deep there. And when that's the case, I think they control this game.
Mike Renner and Kyle Long talking about tonight's game between the Falcons and the Eagles. We won't discuss which bird would win because apparently that's clear cut according to you, Kyle. Yeah,
is that an
you
eagle
can hear
or a
more from
hawk?
these.
I don't know what that is.
You can hear more of these guys on Pushing the Pile, a CBS football podcast. You can download and follow wherever you get your podcast or scan that QR code. You can get that latest episode right now.